So you're looking for a pair of wireless noise-cancelling headphones? Well, you've come to the right place. You might be choosing between something like the AirPods Max. Maybe you're looking at the Sony WH-1000XM4s, or it could be the Bose NC700. I've been using all three headphones for several weeks, and I'm here to help you make that decision and work out which one is right for you. Hey there, my name is Lexy and I love testing out headphones. I had so much fun making this video because I got to listen to a lot of music. Now I'm going to cover off everything about these three headphones, from sound quality to active noise cancellation, transparency mode or ambient sound mode, as well as connectivity, battery life, overall performance and call quality. So let's get started. Your first decision is likely to do with price. The AirPods Max are the most expensive of the bunch at $550. The Sonys are the cheapest generally of the bunch at around $350, and the Bose 700s are in the middle at around $370. Now, of course, those are just the retail prices. If you want to find out the most up-to-date pricing, you can check out the links in the description below. Let's take a look at what's in each of the headphones boxes. The Bose 700, you get a hard carrying case, a 2.5 to 3.5 millimeter audio cable, and a USB-C cable for charging. With the Sony WH-1000XM4s, you get a hard case, a 3.5 millimeter audio cable, a USB-C cable for charging, and a headphone adapter for using on an aeroplane. With the AirPods Max, you get a smart case, a lightning cable for charging, and that's it. There's no audio cable included in the box, and if you do want to buy that for listening to a wired audio source, you're going to have to fork out another $35 at least, on top of $550 you've spent on a pair of headphones that doesn't even come with a protective case. Now, I thought, look, there's a great way to get around this because I don't want to spend another $35+. I'm going to try and use that 3.5 to lightning little adapter jack. Great, I've solved the problem. Doesn't work, don't buy it, it's not gonna work. Sound quality is arguably the most important part of any headphone, and I've listened to a range of music across different genres from different sources to help give you an idea of what these actually sound like and the whole listening experience. Let's start with the Bose 700s. Now these ones, when I first put them on my ears, I really noticed that the bass was nice, deep, and really rich, and it was a lovely listening experience on my favorite playlist. The sound profile was a little bit more neutral overall compared to, say, the Sonys, for example, but I really enjoyed that, and I found that like the whole sound profile and the sound stage was quite tight, so I definitely didn't feel like anything was getting lost. There was no muddiness, and I just really enjoyed listening to these particular headphones. Now, the Bose also come with an app for iOS and Android that lets you adjust the equalizer. So too does the Sony. So that basically means that you'll be able to adjust the sound profile. If you don't like the defaults, you can do that in the app. Now, the sound profile on the Sonys, these ones for my ears are the most warm out of all of these three headphones. The bass is booming, and I just really loved listening to these as well. What I would say is that the sound on the Sonys, to me, it sounds a little bit weird to say this, but it sounds the most intimate. And so I really felt like I was up close and personal with my music when I was listening into the Sonys. It was just vibrant and exciting to listen to a range of different tracks. The Sonys also come with a digital sound enhancement engine, and that's basically to give a little bit of boost to sounds that are coming from streaming apps, say like Spotify or Apple Music. Now, if you are an Apple Music lover, I definitely think that the AirPods Max are going to sound the best overall. I noticed when I was listening to, say, Spotify and Apple Music on an iOS device, I could feel and hear the difference on the AirPods Max. Now overall, this being the most expensive of the three headphones, they definitely have, to me, the widest sound stage, but the bass is not as punchy straight off the bat, but the mids and the trebles are super well defined. I really found when I was listening to vocals and strings, especially on the AirPods Max, they sounded beautiful, so clean and so clear. And also when you crank the volume up really high, there's really no distortion at all, which is fantastic if you really like to pump your music. Now the AirPods Max comes with what's called an adaptive equalizer. Now this is automatically changing the sound properties of the headphones depending on a number of different variables like how the headphones fit on your head. But there isn't a way to universally control it manually. So if you do want to change the sound profile, you're going to have to do that either in an app like Spotify through that equalizer, or if you're listening on Apple Music, for example, in your iOS settings, you can change the equalizer too. Now let's talk about active noise cancellation and transparency mode or ambient sound mode. So these three headphones are all excellent at blocking out the sounds of the external world through active noise cancellation. And all three definitely pass the someone comes up behind you, tries to offer you a cup of tea, and you get the living daylight scared out of you because you didn't hear them test. But because I haven't been able to travel and use them in a situation where active noise cancellation is arguably the most crucial part of the listening experience, which is on an airplane, I've been able to recreate a white noise situation at home with a noisy overhead heating unit. I've tested all three, listening to both music playing at the time and not having music playing at the time, and they've all done an excellent job. Now, I think to my ears, the best noise cancelling experience was from the AirPods Max. This doesn't surprise me because they're the most expensive headphones and also have the most microphones dedicated to noise cancelling. The Bose and the Sony were also excellent, and honestly, if I hadn't listened to the AirPods Max with the ANC turned on, these would be absolutely top of their class, and they really are. I think the Bose are probably a little bit better at blocking out those kind of lower frequencies, but overall, the kind of most seamless performance for me was from the AirPods Max. Now, as for transparency mode or ambient sound mode, this mode actually pipes in sounds of the external world to give you some more awareness of your surroundings, so you don't, walk into traffic, get hit by a car, or you can hear things like a screaming baby when you're jamming out to your tunes, because that's pretty important. Now, again, for my ears, the AirPods Max actually did the best job overall with transparency mode. It is the most natural sounding to my ears. And really, if you've used any other pair of Apple headphones, such as the AirPods Pro, it's a very similar experience with the AirPods Max. Apple just does a really good job of transparency mode. Again, the other two are really good at the ambient sound modes, but it just doesn't sound as natural and as organic. It just does sound a little bit more like microphones are compensating and trying to pipe in some sound. Whereas with the AirPods Max, I generally feel like I can have a conversation with you super easily, and I can hear everything that's going on, hear my own voice, I'm not shouting, things like that. But I really do appreciate that the Sonys do have an actual slider where you can change the level of the ambient sound mode coming in. So you can either make it super loud if you're in a situation where you really need to have high sensitivity to what's going on around you, or you can be very low, so you can only hear just some voices and things come through. The Bose, on the other hand, have an adjustable noise cancellation setting, so it can be anywhere from 1 to 10, which I personally love having an adjustable noise cancellation setting. The other two, it's either only on or off. Now let's talk about the comfort, the design, and the controls of all three headphones. Starting off with the AirPods Max. Now these headphones, look, honestly, they're heavy. I've been using them for over 3 months now, and when I first took them out of the box and put them on my head, I just thought, look, they're just too heavy. Maybe I can get used to them. It's been 3+ months now, and I'm still not used to the weight of these headphones. They're a lot heavier than the other two, and that's to do with their construction. There is the stainless steel telescopic arms, there's the aluminium or aluminum ear cups, and a mesh headband that's used to distribute the weight a little bit better across your head. Now, yes, I think the mesh headband really does make a difference overall, but if you're at all sensitive to any sort of weight on your head or any kind of clamping force, the AirPods Max might be a little bit too heavy for you. The AirPods Max do have some other redeeming features, especially around the cups. They are the deepest and the biggest of all of the three headphones, and I really like that, especially if you have larger ears or someone who's found that your ears generally press up against other noise-cancelling headphones. You probably won't have that issue with the AirPods Max. The only other problem with the AirPods Max though is you see these cups that come off like this? Yeah, that's great, but if you choose the lighter color like me, because this was the only option available when I ordered them, they're gonna get pretty dirty. I wear makeup and it just gets lots of dirt and grime. So I recommend either getting a darker pair with the darker cups or giving them a bit of a clean, but fortunately you can take them off like so and clean them pretty easily. Now the Bose 700s have a plastic construction on the cups, as well as nice foam padded ear cups and a nice padded headband like so. Now this actual headband itself is stainless steel, so it is a little bit heavier, even though overall it's the same weight as the Sony's and much, much lighter than the AirPods Max, which I really appreciate. Now, overall, these were super comfortable to wear, but there is a massive design fault. If you have long hair like me and you like to take off your headphones and rest them on your neck like this when you don't have your hair tied up, well, let me just tell you, I've lost a lot of hair and I've had to go to some extreme measures to get my hair untangled from these headphones. So definitely do be careful if you have long hair and you wear these. Now, fortunately, Sony does not have the problem of your hair getting caught in these. The design is a little bit more simple. There isn't a headband that's kind of a different design to the rest of the headphone themselves. Again, it is a plastic construction with nice padded ear cups and a padded headband like so. To me, these ones actually felt the lightest and the most comfortable to wear all day, which I really appreciated. And when it did come to an extended listening session, I definitely felt like I was just wanting to pick up the Sonys and put them on my head more often than the other two. They were just much more comfortable overall. Both the Bose and the Sony come with physical buttons and touch panels. So the buttons are for powering on and off the headphone, as well as switching between active noise cancellation, your other modes, and activating your voice assistant perhaps if you want to do that. I found the touch panels were both really responsive on both. I think for me, the design of the Sonys was just a little bit better overall because that entire front touch panel on the cup, you can actually use that entire surface and control the headphone. Whereas the Bose, I found that I was just rubbing up against the actual, where the headband meets the ear cup a little bit much. It wasn't as easy for me to get to know them as it was the Sonys. Now, the AirPods Max do not have touch panels. They have simply two buttons. You can either use the digital crown to rotate, do things like change the volume, answer calls and so on, switch between tracks, and one button to activate noise cancellation and transparency mode. Now, at first I thought, look, this is not going to be as flexible as other over-ear headphones just because I like having more buttons and things to press and things to tweak, but actually, I think in this case, the simplicity was actually a really good part about the AirPods Max for me. It didn't take me very long at all to learn which button did what, whereas the other two, there was just a little bit more muscle memory involved. Again, your mileage may vary, but I just found that the simplicity of the AirPods Max was nice. I want you to actually hear the microphone from each and see what you think. Bose NC 700 testing on the iPhone 12 Pro. Take a listen to the microphone and see which one you like. Bose time on Android. Take a listen to how the microphone sounds in the camera app, recording in Pro Video mode. Sony WH-1000XM4. When will Sony have an easier name to say? I don't know. Microphone sample in the iPhone 12 Pro. Recording on the Sony on Android. This is the Note 20 Ultra. Taking a listen to the microphone sample. AirPods Max recording on the iPhone 12 Pro. Take a listen and see what the microphone sounds like. And the AirPods Max on Android. It's kind of funny, when I listen to these samples back, I've definitely noticed the AirPods Max sounds the best when I'm using the camera app to record, but for call quality itself, there is a difference, and for that one, the Bose definitely sound better. So it's just really interesting how they vary, and I hope this helps you decide which one's going to be best for your application. So now you've heard the samples from all three on Android and iOS. I'm really curious to know what you think and which one you preferred the most, so make sure you leave me a comment down below. As for the features of all of these three headphones, they are quite different and there are a few things to keep in mind, starting with the Bose 700s. Now you have a choice of voice assistant depending on what platform you're on, Google Assistant, the Siri voice assistant if you're on iOS, or an always-on Amazon Assistant. I'm not going to say it because, again, don't want to start your voice assistant off Now the Bose also have a specific button that you can program and press to activate an ambient sound mode. So as you speak, you're not going to be talking over your music, it's going to duck your music and go into that sound profile so you can have a normal and natural conversation. And as for codecs, the Bose is using SBC and AAC codecs. The Sony also use the same 3 voice assistants as the Bose depending on the platform that you're on. It also has a speak to chat feature, so as soon as you start talking, the headphones will detect that, pause your music and turn into ambient sound mode, which is very useful so you don't physically have to press a button if you don't want to. The only problem is it is foiled by singing along to music. So if you do that and you like to jam out to your tunes and sing along to them, you're probably going to want to turn that off because otherwise you'll be singing and all of a sudden the music will stop and it's just a little bit sad, weird and lonely, so turn that off. The other thing that the Sony has that is quite useful is a mode where you can actually put them on your head and then cover the right ear cup and automatically go into the ambient sound mode so you can have a natural discussion without necessarily needing to turn on the speak to chat. There is also an ambient sound mode that can actually automatically determine your location if you're using the headphones app on iOS or Android and change it from noise cancellation if you're, say, in an office or stationary and working, or an ambient sound mode to let in the outside world if you're commuting or walking around. The codecs it uses are SBC, AAC, and LDAC. There is also a 360 audio mode on the Sonys, although it is only available in around 4 apps at the moment, including Tidal. The AirPods Max, as you might expect, only have one voice assistant that you can use them with on iOS, which is Siri. You can also, though, get Siri to have the Hey functionality, so it will actually automatically activate and be always listening for your voice to speak a command. You can also get it to read messages aloud in your ear as well. The AirPods Max are using AAC and the SBC codec. Now, the spatial audio feature on the AirPods Max is something that we first saw on iOS 14 with the AirPods Pro. It's using accelerometers and gyroscopes in both the headphones and the iOS device you're listening on to basically turn compatible movies and TV shows into a virtual surround sound experience. It sounds really nice on the AirPods Max, and it's a really cool experience, but it is only available on certain apps at the moment, such as HBO Max, and it's only good for TVs and movies. But if you spend a lot of time consuming that kind of content, then you might want to consider the AirPods Max. As for connectivity, all 3 headphones were really good across testing a number of different devices, such as a computer or a phone or a tablet. The Bose and the Sony now have multi-device pairing, so you can pair up to 2, say a phone or a tablet, or a phone and a laptop like I like to do in the workday, and you can have both devices connected simultaneously, which is super useful. The AirPods Max have quick device switching. However, you do need to be on iOS or a Mac with Big Sur and above and be signed into the same Apple ID on all those devices to be able to switch seamlessly between the 2. It works for me, I'd say like 80 to 85% of the time, and the rest of the time I do have to double check which one that I'm actually connected to. But the AirPods Max do have really rock solid connectivity when you are on iOS, and also the H1 chips make sure that connection when you first establish it with a phone, for example, you get that nice pop-up and it does it every single time thereafter. The Bose and the Sony are also really good at connecting to these devices, but you don't get that nice visual interface, and it's just an extra step of having to go through the app to set it up, rather than just seamlessly being able to do it on the AirPods Max with an iOS device. All 3 headphones have really good and really strong battery life. Now, the manufacturer claims of the Bose and the AirPods is around 20 hours. I've done my own tests on all of them. The AirPods Max gave me around 20 hours and 20 minutes of listening time at around 50% volume and active noise cancellation turned on. The Bose got me a little closer to 21 hours actually, which was pretty impressive. But the Sonys, look, these ones were the best overall in terms of battery life. Manufacturer claim is 30 hours and I pretty much met that and got a little bit extra out of them. So I was really impressed. The fact that these were the lightest on my head and also gave me the longest listening time between charges was pretty impressive. One other thing to keep in mind about battery life is that the Bose and the Sony you can use in a passive mode with wired listening if your battery is dead. The AirPods Max unfortunately don't have any kind of passive mode, so when the battery goes, even if you've got that $35 cable, you're out of luck. You need to give them a recharge. Fortunately, all three also have a fast recharge option that gives you just a little bit of extra juice in, say, a 10 or 15 minute period. Overall, the Sonys just gave me a little bit more quickly than the other two. So now you know everything about these three headphones. It's the hard part of the video where I have to make a decision, and you also need to make a choice about which ones that you like the most if you are making the buying decision, or maybe you already have one of these pairs and you're like, I hope she chooses the one that I bought. Well, let me tell you, all three are fantastic and I loved using all of them, as I said, straight off the top of the video. But I really do want to make kind of a Frankenstein's monster headphone that incorporates the best part of all three. Now, I obviously can't do that, but I will give you some guidelines on which ones I think are the best for certain applications. For the best sound and calls, if those two things are very important to you, I would choose the Bose 700s. I really liked the sound profile, the bass was deep and rich, and the call quality was excellent. But the best sound for the price, 100% is the Sony's. Warm and just, it's like a big warm hug when you're listening to your music. It gives you the goosebumps when you're listening to your favorite tunes. I loved listening to these, and you honestly can't beat the price, especially because they're usually a little bit cheaper than their retail price of $350. For the best noise cancellation and transparency mode, I'm going to choose the AirPods Max. I also think that these are probably the best choice if you have an iPhone and you don't mind a heavier headphone. They are an incredibly rich and rewarding listening experience, and the transparency mode, as I mentioned, is the most natural overall. But for me, it's hard to get past that weight. They're just too heavy for me. And you're probably thinking, Lexi, you gotta choose one, right? You gotta choose one and help me out. So for all encompassing all of those categories, price, battery life, comfort, sound quality, I'm gonna choose the Sony WH-1000XM4s. These ones were just a joy to listen to, very comfortable to wear. They work well across Android and iOS, plus the sound is warm, rich, and inviting. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this has been super helpful for you in working out which headphone is the right one for you. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to catch up with lots more headphones and audio content here on CNET. And if you have any more questions about each of these headphones, you can hit me up in the comments or on your favorite social media platform. I'll see you next time.